got now pleased to bring on one of my favorite kids, one of my favorite players to watch over the years because of how he grew. 4 years in college. We don't know if it's done yet. We're not sure if we're completely shutting the door on this thing, and that's why we wanted to have Coleman Hawkins on here. All right, Coleman. 4 years in Champaign, a Sacramento kid, and you finished it the right way, right? I mean, Elite Eight. A lot of people have been kind of hitting on the program a little bit for not getting past the first weekend. First of all, give me your thoughts on potentially finishing your college career with an Elite Eight appearance at Illinois and what it meant to you.
Oh man, I mean, it was special because, like as you said, people were honest about not making it past that second weekend, and just hearing all that and everything that's going on. It felt really good, especially like with that freshman team we had. Also, I'll say one thing: when we lost my freshman year, that loss was just painful, and because I knew the potential that we had as a team, and I thought we were good. I thought personally, I thought we were the only team who was decent enough to compete with Baylor, who won it that year. But sophomore year loss, junior year loss, and then this year to go out and do what people were kind of complaining about and saying we couldn't do this and that, and to get that far was great. I thought we could have made it to the a Final Four and the national championship game, but UConn's a well-oiled machine and a great team. But it meant a lot to just go out there and get past that first weekend.
Dude, that run, I was there. That UConn run, like I felt bad for you guys. Like I'm watching and I'm like, are they ever gonna score? Like, what was it like being in that thing?
I'll say this: it was very frustrating. I think we finally got to the point where we weren't just better than teams. I think we kind of got away with that this year just a little bit. And I think some changes needed to be made. And I think it was just really frustrating just watching, the team kind of crumble and not being able to do anything about it. And I was really frustrated. I came in a media timeout really frustrated. But, seeing us not make any shots and then seeing them make every single shot or uncontested transition layups, it was just draining, and it was hard to be out there. And but no, all credit to them. They like I said, they're a well-oiled machine, well coached. Everyone plays extremely hard. So frustrating to watch, but I can't do anything but respect it. So
All right, so the season's over. And I remember I was in the locker room right after, and I heard you say kind of the words, somebody asked you, and I was kind of in the back there, and I heard you say, my career's done at Illinois or something like that. I forget what the exact words were, but they asked you about whether you come back, and you said, I'm pretty much done at Illinois. You put your name in for the draft. You're going to go through the process. And then all of a sudden, Matt Norlander puts it out at CBS that you're going to put your name in the portal, and all hell breaks loose. Everyone's like, "What's going on? He's going to come back and transfer." So tell us in your own words, kind of where your head's at right now as you go through the draft process, and also put your name in the portal.
all I wanted to do was kind of just slip in there without even announcing anything.
Good luck.
But yeah, I mean, but you did a great job of explaining everything. It's simply off of honestly what I can call a mistake I didn't do last year. I didn't play my cards right, and if everyone knows me as a loyal guy, and that's kind of what went into that. Last year, I didn't want to put my name in the portal, although my father was telling me, business is business. And this wasn't a transfer portal to go and leave and get more money. This was transfer portal to negotiate and still end up at Illinois. And I didn't play those cards right. I'm not going to speak on what I made or anything like that, but I definitely think if, things were different and I would have played my cards right, You know, it could have been a better outcome. And this is stuff that I've never complained about. You've never seen actions from me on the court complaining about what I made, anything like that. I'm always grateful for
You made
whatever
good
I get.
money, right? You made pretty good money. You could have made more.
Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for everything, but I say this is just preventing a mistake I didn't do last year, if anything, um, to kind of help me. And especially if it's going to be my last year somewhere, you know, I want to try to maximize and make as much money as I can, like anybody else in the world would do. So no, it's nothing to do with like, you know, I'm done with Illinois. I hate the coaching staff. I've been here for 4 years. We just got Coach O, which I love, who recruited me. It has nothing to do with people leaving or anything like that. It's simply based off of just trying to play my cards right, and maximize the amount of money I can in this next year, because I didn't get an opportunity to do it my junior year. That deadline, I will say that deadline does suck, because you try to pile in as much information, and there's still a lot that happens after that deadline. So I will say that deadline is, it sucks to work with, but you know, I didn't play my cards right last year, and I got to look out for myself and be selfish this year, which this selfish isn't harming anybody at all. This selfish is benefiting me. So,
Because the part you haven't talked about yet is your focus is to the NBA. That's
mhm.
your focus at this point. And this was more of a just in case, correct?
Yeah.
Like you told me you think the chances are pretty strong here that you are not going to play another year in college. But this is there in case you decide to do so at the last minute. Do you feel like you'll probably take it right to the end again? Or does it just depend on what feedback you get? Like, what would it take, I guess, is I guess what I'm asking now. And you may not know the answer to that right now, but like if we're talking a two-way, which for people that don't know, a two-way contract pays what, Coleman? 500-600 grand now?
Well, it's around 600 plus. I'm pretty sure you get another 200 for playing 20 games, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
So you
So
make
let's say you're guaranteed a two-way. We'll just kind of play this scenario through. I don't know if you want to play the scenario through here on the show, but let's play it anyway. You get a two-way. Teams say you tell your agent you're going to be drafted somewhere in maybe the 30s or 40s. 40s, most 40s are going to get a two-way. Do you then like how do you go through this process at that point? Are you talking to teams? Is your agent going to talk to teams? Are you, because there's probably 15 guys this year that are going to make $1 million.
yeah.
The market has completely changed from a year ago. It has. It's like doubled, which I'm sure you're aware of by now.
I'm fully aware. I'll say this, and this is where that deadline, it sucks that I believe last year it was like around, I don't even know, like May 29th. I don't know what the deadline was to withdraw last year. This is where it sucks, because all you can do is try to get your agent to gather as much information based off of team workouts in the combine, which after the deadline you have so many days for so many other workouts. And before the combine, some people don't even work out with teams, right?
Most don't.
So
Right.
yeah, so a guy like me last year, I was going to get it. All the information I was getting was going to get a two-way, going to get a two-way. We'll get drafted, but he's going to get a two-way. So this deadline's coming. I'm not in the transfer portal last year, so now I'm like, hey, it's Coleman. I'm thinking about coming back to school. What do you think we can do? So I'm having to hear this offer compared to a two-way. So now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
But people don't realize there's so many different things that happen after that deadline. For instance, Trace Jackson Davis, I worked out with him in the Warriors workout, right?
Yeah.
I'm hearing two-way, 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 but they don't have that 57th pick that he was picked or whatever during that time. So I do a workout with them. They only have the pick that they pick with pods during that time. the season ends after the deadline. They make a trade. Now they have that pick. So in my head, I'm like, gosh darn, if only I stayed in, I could have potentially. And Trey's got a guaranteed deal.
Good.
So there's so many different things that can happen. And that's why I don't think that deadline is very fair, because all these trades happen. This guy, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to be safe. If anything happens, or I'm hearing this, right now I'm hearing gonna get drafted for sure. Potentially a two-way, potentially guaranteed. Everyone's saying this draft is wide open. So I think, I've talked with Coach Underwood with the numbers I put up this year, as far as like shooting and everything like that, percentages, efficiency. I think I have the potential to go in and work out, try to get a guaranteed deal, move up to shoot the ball well. But it's just so challenging because you never know what can happen. So it could be an injury, knock on wood. It could be anything like that. So I just wanted to play my cards right and be in a comfortable spot where I can negotiate and get leverage and remain a mystery at the same time. So it all works in my favor.
All right. So is Illinois, like, did you tell Coach Underwood, hey, even if I come back, I'm done in Champaign? Like, is that kind of where you're at now with your head of putting your name in the portal? Because that's kind of what you said after the game. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, and maybe things have changed, because I do hate, and when people ask you guys a question fresh off a loss that's your final game of your career. I learned this years ago. Sam Decker, I think, told me after they lost Wisconsin, or he told everybody, I think he said, he told everybody, I'm coming back. And I remember calling him that night and being like, dude, like, I'm going to call you tomorrow or in a couple of days, and then you tell me whether you're coming back or not. But you shouldn't. Answering that question right after a game is really, really difficult when your season and maybe your career's over.
For sure. And I haven't even had the chance to talk to Coach Underwood a second time regarding like the transfer portal or anything. I'm not going to bother him while he's in Spain. But, if I'm being honest with you, I'm not going to say the name of the team because it's third party and, I communicated back with them. But, I told them, I think, I don't think I would potentially, if I were to come back to school, I don't think I would play in the Big Ten again. And I'm a rivalry guy, so other Big Ten teams disgust me. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I might, they might be disgusted by me, but I don't like them either. So I would never play in the Big Ten if I were to go somewhere else. But I mean, they're building up their roster, and I'm not gonna say I'm guaranteed to get this and that. But if I were to come back to school, I wouldn't want to take away from those guys coming in who aren't expecting me to come back, who are there probably because I'm not coming back. The new guys they got, even Merez is a great five man. I know I'd play some five. So, I'd potentially, I would talk everything out with them, but I wouldn't want to take away from, those guys coming in who are going to be blinded, like, oh, Coleman's back now. This might change some things for them. So, I feel like that would be kind of selfish of me, but I would definitely talk with them and keep Illinois as an option because, I'm a big loyalty guy. And like I said, if I were to go somewhere else, it wouldn't be in the Big Ten. I can't stand Mizzou. I can't stand all the other Big Ten schools. I respect them. Don't get me wrong, but I would never play in the Big Ten. So you guys wouldn't have to worry about me wearing an Indiana jersey or anything like that. So.
I think they've already spent all their NIL, so you're okay with that. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they got any left after their roster that Indiana's put together so far. Hey, you mentioned it a couple minutes ago, but I want to hit on this because I asked you this when you were in Boston, how healthy you were this year. And I don't know if you had really told anybody leading up to that, but I want you to be able to tell people, because you played well, even though you could tell like you were not at 100% for much of the year in terms of the way you were moving. You shot it well. I think, what did you shoot, 37 from three, 36, 37?
37, yeah. And this is where I say sometimes numbers do lie, because if those first 3 games I played wasn't healthy very much at all. Let's see, Eastern Illinois, what was it, Oakland and Marquette. I don't know how many points I put up, but I know I scored 1 point against Eastern. I know I scored 5 against Marquette. I don't even know how much against Oakland. Flush those down the drain, right? Now moving on to the games I sat out, was Valparaiso, Western Illinois. It was stat padding games, right? Didn't play any of those. So for me to come in,
Yeah, you were bad early. You were bad. I'm looking at the numbers now. You were bad.
was waiting for somebody to just speak up and say, Coleman's been dealing with this. You know, I've seen on Twitter, Coleman Hawkins has a knee brace on, Coleman Hawkins has this on. I'm just waiting for somebody to say something. But I'm not going to be like, oh, my fucking knee's messed up. I excuse my language, but my knee's messed up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting for that. But, you know, I rehabbed for about a week and a half. Played against Rutgers, still wasn't shooting the ball well. Played against FAU and played against Tennessee, like slowly starting to get back into it. But if I'm being honest, I wasn't healthy the whole year, and I was still able to play great. If we were able to flesh out those games, I don't know how much I would average. If someone could do the math for me, start from maybe Rutgers when I first came back, because that was
Take
like my
those
first
3 games out. Yeah, take the first 3 games out. Because
first three.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
5 for 16. Well, you were 5 for 16 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3 in those 3 games, and scored a total of 14 points.
Yeah, like if I was like it really like amazes me how I was still able to play like the rest of the season. And I'm being honest, I wasn't fully healthy. Like my knee bothered me, but it's just something, you know, tendonitis is something that, you know, the only thing you can do is relax and take time away from basketball. And that's not what I'm going to do, especially not during the season. So I did the 3 games against stinker teams, Valpo. You know, no disrespect to them, but but it's just like it amazes me that I was able to play the way I still played. But I'm not gonna lie, it ate me up inside that I wasn't able to guard the way I wanted to guard. Like this year's Coleman Hawkins playing defense was not Coleman Hawkins. There's shots I, want to go block, defensive possessions where I can't like really move for real. But it does amaze me that, I was still able to go out and do it. There's days I'm limping in practice and I'm still practicing. Like that's one thing about me. Like I may complain about it a lot, but I'm still going to go out and do it regardless. And, I'm proud of myself for going out there and doing it. And even as of late, like in the tournament, it was really bothering me, but, I still pushed through it and was able to play pretty well. So,
Hey, I want to talk to you about the kind of maybe the misperception of you a little bit.
oh,
On
yeah.
the court. No, but on the court, and at
No.
times I'm like, what the hell is he
Yeah,
doing?
this is great because these are things that I have to be silent about all
I know
year.
you do.
So yes, go ahead
And you could, and like, listen, again, I've been on both ends of it with you. Sometimes I'm looking at you on the court and I'm like, man, can he shut the hell up on this one? Like, what's he doing? This isn't the time, right?
Mhm.
But other times I love the energy. And I do. I think that's what college basketball is about, right? Like you guys are kids, play with passion, talk some trash. It gets you in trouble at times. The refs, hit you up a couple times here and there. But it's funny because off the court, you're so different. You're so different. You're thoughtful. Every time, I think everybody would say this that's covered you over the years too. Like you're a completely different person. You're not like flamboyant. You're not going to talk trash off the court very much. And again, you're going to think about your answers and you're going to be thoughtful on how you answer them and you're going to do it respectfully. On the court, you can get a little bit, ahead of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you asked this because this is one thing that, I shouldn't care about. But when people question my character, it like really pisses me off because I don't like when people have like perceptions of me. I like you can ask anybody in Champaign, like I'm a respectful person. If I walk into your store, I'm gonna greet you, I'm gonna say hi. Like it's none of that. On the court, this is where like the frustration comes out. There's moments where I get overly frustrated because, and I've talked with coach about this, like I feel like sometimes my IQ it has like outgrown college basketball. So there's like moments where I might do something or my teammates might do something and I'm like thinking the play is going to go one way, but it goes another. And it's just because it's in that moment and I get a little frustrated. And then on top of that, I don't think that people think about the impacts that referees have on games and calls.
Sure.
Like sometimes I'm not saying refs are bad, but like sometimes I feel like referees blow their whistle just to blow their whistle and like there's no thought that goes into it. Like sometimes I'm thinking like, okay, you know, and I'm being a little selfish here.
Sure.
You have, let's say me or Terrence are on the court. It might be a little ticky tack foul, but it might not even be a foul. Right?
Yeah, let it go. Right.
Let it go. You got two pro prospects
yep.
in the gym, right? And I'm sorry to speak on myself, but I am in the draft right now. Yep. I would never, I'm not calling myself a pro. I'm in the draft. I'll say that, a pro prospect. And the impact you have, now they're subbed out the game. Now they have to sit a whole entire half. Now their team's losing. Now, I'm frustrated. I'm on the bench like this, like huffing and puffing. Like now an NBA scout's sitting there watching that, reacting to that. And now, like, it's just like long term. Or you come back, we lose the game by one possession, and there's 3 possessions where you just made calls because home court, people say home court advantage, this, that. Like the impact that the referees have on the game is much broader than people think about. You know what I'm saying?
Let me add in on that because I agree with you. And I think a big part of the problem is, and you know this, they're working almost every night. And there are some really good ones, but they don't get off nights because they make, $3,500, $4,000, whatever it is, every night. They are going to work every night, and there's not one universal assigner. So basically, they can work in the Big Ten one night. They can work in the Pac-12 another night, come back, Big East. They're flying all over the place. They are not, especially when it gets to conference play, they're not nearly as fresh as they were at the beginning of the season.
For sure. And like, I'm going to be honest, I feel like this year was a year where I was targeted and ref different. Like, I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I'm just saying, like, I would go into games and me and Terrence are captains, and I see the ref who's reffing our games this night, and I'll nudge Terrence and be like, oh, shit, we got this guy. And it shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? But no, I respect referees. Don't get me wrong. It's just sometimes I feel like we don't think about the impacts of calls and, we can't overturn. And if I'm being honest, college basketball needs reviews. It needs it. We might as well. We can review goaltends. We can review charges. We can review this and that. The games are long enough. You can't sit here and say, oh, we don't want to make the games extra long. Well, these games are very important. These are $1 million people playing, hundreds of $1,000 athletes, $1 million coaches. We can take a little extra time to review and get a call right and be able to, you know what I'm saying? So that's just where kind of my frustration comes in. And when you can't change anything about it, it kind of makes it even more frustrating. But then when you're not wearing a jersey and you're sitting in a room chilling, you can be your normal personality. So that's where that.
I mean, you are like, you're totally different. I'm glad you had a chance to explain yourself on that because I don't, I think, and sometimes it's a combination for you. You like to talk trash. You do. No doubt about it. You have fun. I think it kind of gets you going. And then you let your frustration show. Like, I remember when I talked to Jason Tatum early in his career in Boston, because I live here, and I was at a ton of games, and he would just, and he's gotten better, but he's still not great. But early on, when nobody really knew who Jason Tatum was, the officials, he would throw his arms up and complain. And I said to him back then, I said, Jason, trust me, you're going to build your rep now. And the refs aren't going to like you now, and it's going to hurt you when you become an NBA superstar. They're going to remember this. Do you feel like it might have hurt you what you did earlier in your career and they targeted you because of what you had done maybe when you were a little bit younger coming up, or no?
I definitely do think so. Yeah, I think they've been able to picture me throughout the years, and flailing my arms and yelling and stuff like that. And I definitely think it's all built up over the years. And like I said, I do feel like I was repped a little bit different this year. But for one, I've never been a dirty player. You've never seen me do a dirty play, a dirty act, or anything like that. If I'm being honest, I've never got the most technicals I've gotten was this year. I got one early my freshman year for telling someone get that shit out of here, and then a dunk against on Trace last year. But other than that, I've never been a guy who's no offense, but Draymond Green or just flat out like
Yep.
Deliberately going out their way to get technical fouls. So, but I mean, I definitely think over the years has definitely fed into it and boiled up to what it was this year. And, with the reputation and everyone going on Twitter, and it all feeds into it. So,
All right. So now that you've basically said, for the most part, you're done at Illinois. I mean, without coming out and saying 100%. So now I think we can get you to where you can give me your favorite Brad Underwood story, because he can no longer take playing time away from you. Okay. That ship has sailed. He's got nothing to hold over your head now. So I want kind of your favorite Brad Underwood story, because I've known this dude for 20 years and there's some great stories.
first of all, I didn't say that I was done at Illinois.
This is the reporter in me, Coleman. This is what I do. Come on, man.
First of all, hey, it's still right here. Trust me. If I was done at Illinois, they're still in my heart. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. But, oh my gosh, favorite Brad. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I don't. Trust me. There's a lot.
He must have thrown you. How many times did he throw you out of practice?
I've been asked to leave a couple of times, but never really actually got out of practice. Oh man, there's a few. Hey, if I'm being honest, one that has really stuck with me, I'll do two. I'll do one that may offend someone who was involved in it, but the one that stuck out to me was my freshman year, him telling me I shouldn't even be in the program, and he told me I need to be playing at Sac State. And that shit had me dying. I was just like, bro, there's no way.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I don't think people, I do think they realize it now. I do think he's gotten softer, probably even from when you first got to the program 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Which is crazy because he had more pressure on him each year in a way, right? There was more pressure on him to have to win in the tournament, but I feel like in a way, maybe looking at his paycheck every year, he got looser every year. I don't know what it was.
That, and I felt like he could trust us just a little bit more. Like, I just remember like freshman year, COVID, and sophomore year, we'd be out there no matter what. After a game, before a game, we'd be out there for 3.5 hours, 3 hours. But now we go like an hour and a half, 2. Like, I think he just kind of trusts us a little bit more and is aware of, the harsh schedule and things like that. So.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay booster too from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
The portal. I hate it. I'm not going to lie. I hate it because I hate covering it right now. Like, I can't keep track of who's going where. Everybody's going in. I don't know who's going to be on what team next year. Like, it's hard, man. It is not the college basketball that I started covering where you knew, yeah, a few guys were going to leave. Like, the first year, I did the transfer list, the first year ever, probably 20 years ago now, 20 years ago. I don't know, something close. I used to do it for coaches. You know how many names it had on it the first year? 220. 220. So now we're at like 1,900 probably at the end of the day, including walk-ons. How do you feel about the state of college basketball right now? And I know that's a broad question, but you've been in it for 4 years. Again, you're benefiting in a lot of ways because when you got in, there was no NIL. The portal has gotten crazier because kids don't have to sit out anymore. Give me your overall thoughts on the state of college basketball.
Oh, man. If I'm being completely honest with you, it's like a love-hate relationship with the portal. I think there's zero patience right now with everybody across the country. I feel like no one's willing to sacrifice 1 or 2 years of playing time. You know, if you're not a one and done, what do you have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, maybe it's a pride thing, maybe, but like, I just feel like no one is patient with a process. Like, I went into Illinois, I thought I was, I thought I had the potential to be a pro, but I never was like, oh, I have 6 minutes a game as a freshman, I'm out. Or like, okay, DeMonte Williams is still here. He's coming back for a 5th year. Oh man, I'm out, bro. You already know coach is playing. Like, it's never been that way. Like, I feel like everybody is that way. Like, everybody who goes through the portal, you already know I'm not going to play, bro. They're bringing in that guy for, you know what I'm saying?
I'm out. Yeah.
So it's just like, I think a lot of people just need patience. I think you need the right people in your corner, which I feel like nobody has, because all of a sudden everybody's parents who's never played or done it is making their decisions for them, or listening to this agent who can get them $750,000 from this school. So I think there just needs to be a balance of patience and trust and understanding from people. And then, like, if you're a 3-time transfer, and I'm gonna say this, if someone is a 3-time transfer, why the hell are you paying them again? You know what I'm saying? Like, let the dudes who've already transferred 3 times go. Let them go.
Especially Coleman, especially if, and I'm not talking specifically about anybody, but if in those 3 times they've played for 3 coaches that either got fired or they haven't won those 3 times. Like, why are you taking a kid who lost 3 straight years at 3 different places? Like, what are we doing?
It blows my mind. And for the player, like, why do you like moving that much? Like, I'm lazy. I'd be like, bro, I'm not trying to move all my stuff again. Like, that would be rule number 1. Like, I'm like, man, I'm not.
How are you getting your degree? Coleman, the other part is, how are you getting your degree if you're moving every single year? Because you and I both know, and you haven't had to deal with it, but you've got enough buddies who have, you're going to lose credits every time you transfer. Every time.
With my transfer portal video today, they mentioned that in the video. I listened. So, yeah, I'm fully aware. And then also with payments, I feel like guys are going to be jumping around out of jealousy. I would never be that type of guy. But, you know, people talk in the locker rooms, although, you know, contracts should be confidential.
How much talk is there in the locker room? Do you know what everybody's making? Are you guys all talking about it? How often throughout the year? Or is it just something that it's said once and everybody knows what everybody's kind of making?
honestly, the only person I ever asked was Terrence. Because I was told that things would be similar.
Yep.
But no, I have no clue what, like, we've never, like, I hear people talking about it, but I never, like, specifically went to anybody and asked. And I'm sure some people wouldn't feel comfortable disclosing that information. But, like, I'm sure people know, but they don't really know. But me personally, I haven't, like, asked anybody or, like, would know anyone on our team what they're making. But I will say, I think there may need to be some kind of cap on, like,
Yes.
every single school has this amount of money to work with, and you disperse it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
The salary cap. Yeah, the salary cap.
it's
Like,
going to get out of hand at one point where this team, like, there's always going to be this team in this conference is on top because of this money, and then you have everybody else who can't get any money. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to go there. You're just going to get bottom feeders, you know? So I think there definitely needs to be a cap. But at the same time, like I said, it's love, hate.
because you're making the money.
Money, you know? So, like,
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. If I was in your position, I want to get as much as I can now too, with also making the right decision. That's not 100% based on money, but also fit and where you're going to have a chance to have a great, like, I'll give you a great example. And I love this kid and I hope it works out for him. But Michi Johnson is a great example. Okay. 2 years at Ohio State, didn't play a whole lot, goes to South Carolina, has 2 really good years. Last year was awesome, and his team was awesome. And he goes in to them, and I think he asked for whatever number it was. I don't know exactly what it was. And they say, hey, we can't do that for you. That's like a third of our total NIL. We just can't. And he goes back to Ohio State and probably got that number. Well, good for him. He got that number, but man, he was rolling at South Carolina. And I just hope he didn't leave a great situation that might allow him to make more money down the road if he had stayed at South Carolina for another year rather than potentially taking a step back at Ohio. Do you know what I'm saying or no? Do you understand?
I definitely understand. And a part of that I feel like is guidance as far as who's in your corner and agents. I had an agent come to me and we're talking about NBA stuff. And I've never mentioned anything about going back to school. And he's like, well, if you come with me, we could go back to school and I can guarantee you'll get this, and this amount. And in my head, I'm thinking, bro, you're just trying to make a quick buck just because that first contract, if I get, that first contract,
what are they charging you, Coleman? Did you get to a point where these agents that were coming at you, because they are right now and have been, and I'm not going to ask you what you signed for, but I don't know if you saw my tweet a few weeks ago. My tweet to players was, do not pay agents 20% off the collective deal. Do not pay them 20% off that deal. That's bullshit. You shouldn't have to. Even 20% off sponsorship deals, in my opinion, is a lot of money, okay? As media people, we paid 10%, and that was a lot. I got it down to 7% for my last agent. Coaches pay 4%. Like 20% is insane on the collective deal. Insane.
Personally, I don't, the percentage is like broken up towards like good things like flights for my parents, things, it's like broken up and distributed. It's not just 20% straight to an agent. And that's where a lot of people got to be careful, because if you're a prospect they're not making money off your first contract. So they're going to go make money off of the collective of you going back to school.
Yep.
You know, and that's what they're trying to do. So that's what you definitely got to watch out for. But no, if you're paying 20% directly to an agent, like, and their advice to you is just go back to school, like, they're not making anything off the first contract. They want you to go back to school so they can make money. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and what, honestly, I can sit here and negotiate with a collective group. Collective groups aren't hymns. Right. Why can't you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
all you need is somebody, realistically, you probably just need somebody to look over the contract, a lawyer.
Facts.
You know, not everybody's going to be like that, but, you know, obviously, you know, when you were a freshman, all right, you probably wouldn't have felt as comfortable, as confident to be able to do something like that. But at this point, yeah, you know your worth. You can talk to enough other players around the country that are at your level to know what they're getting.
For sure. For sure. And Johnny Appleseed is not going to get you an extra $250,000 because he's Johnny Appleseed and he represents his company. And the collective group is not going, oh, well, this is his agent and he's demanding this much more. So, yeah, we're going to give it to you. No, he's not going to.
This isn't Rich Paul. Hey, this isn't Rich Paul who's going to have leverage to be able to get you to be the 13th man on an NBA roster on the Lakers because he's got LeBron.
Exactly.
That's not the way it works.
Exactly.
All right, listen, we should do part 2 of this. I mean that. Like I love talking to you because, you know, number one, like I said, you're thoughtful and you're smart. Number 2, there's no bullshit with you. And I love that. And to me, again, selfishly, I'd love to have you back in college basketball for us. But I hope you go to the NBA. I hope you go to the NBA because I know that's what you've got right now. Your heart and your mind set on, and you should and get healthy. I'm sure you're doing that now, right? And have been. You've probably taken off some time since you guys got knocked out to get as healthy as you can for the workouts, for the combine, for all that. And then I assume after all that, you'll have some sort of decision when you get as much information as you can from your agent and from the NBA teams, right?
For sure, yeah. And no, I appreciate that. That'd be dope to get a part 2. Yeah. I hope no one feels some type of way or takes anything in a negative way. I promise that's not what I'm doing. I hope I'm informative as well. And it was good to kind of, you know, vent a little bit and answer some questions that I've been waiting for people to ask. So
appreciate you coming on. This was a blast. I mean it. And stay in touch. And like I said, we'll do it again. When you have your decision, let's do it. Let's do part 2. Whatever you decide to do, whether it's off to the NBA, whether it's coming back to college, let's do part 2 regardless. And we'll kind of talk about the process, because I think that's another thing that a lot of people would love to kind of hear the insight into the NBA draft process. Take notes. I mean it. Take notes as you're going through, and we'll do it in about, I don't know, what do we got, about 3 weeks?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
All right. Listen, good luck, my man.
Thanks for watching the Field of 60.